Welcome to the Marketing Mantra Podcast, brought to you by 99signals.com, a place to find top-notch content on a wide range of marketing topics, including SEO, social media marketing, content marketing, blogging, and more. Take your blog to the next level and achieve massive traffic growth by learning top blogging strategies discussed in the Marketing Mantra Podcast. And now, here is your host, Sandeep Malia.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 26 of Marketing Mantra. This is your host Sandeep Malia from 99signals.com, a place where you can find top-notch marketing tips to grow your blog and gain more subscribers. Today we'll be joined by Vlad Calus, who's the co-founder of Planable. If you've never heard of Planable, here's a brief introduction. Planable is a social media collaboration tool for marketing teams, digital agencies, and freelancers. The platform allows you to collaborate with your teammates and clients on content calendar in the most visual way. Planable is used by more than 5,000 brands worldwide, including Mini, BMW, Volkswagen, SkyTeam, Wendy's, and many others. Now here's a short introduction about our special guest, Vlad Calus, who's the CTO and co-founder at Planable. Vlad founded two nonprofits at the age of 16, then dropped out of college, moved to another country with two of his friends, and built Planable when he was just 19. He became an honorary Forbes 30 under 30 at 22, and he's been featured as a guest writer and marketer by multiple publications, including Social Media Examiner, Entrepreneur, Digital Agency Network, and many others. Also, Vlad recently published his first book, Marketing Teams of the Future, in which he navigates content marketing's journey from the early beginnings, then dives into a profound analysis of today's industry and proposes several solutions on how to prepare your marketing team for the next decade. Today, the main theme of the episode will be how to audit your marketing team's productivity and upgrade their results. So Vlad shares a lot of tips and insights into how you can boost your marketing team's productivity. So be sure to take notes. Hey Vlad, welcome to the Marketing Mantra podcast. So happy you could take some time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Awesome. So for the benefit of listeners who don't know what Planable is and what you do at Planable, it'll be great if you can give us a short introduction on your company and your role in this company.
Definitely, would love to. So I'm a co-founder at Planable. It's a content collaboration platform for agencies, freelancers, and marketing teams. So in a nutshell, Planable is a content collaboration platform that helps you preview how the content would look like before publishing any, which means that we actually just duplicated the content and the way Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram looks like, and we are helping you to see how this content would look like before publishing any. And then after you've created all of this content, we are helping you to collaborate on all of this. And by collaborating, I mean that you can simply just exchange feedback, ideas, and then ask for approval on all of this content to make sure that everyone is happy with the content and make sure that everyone is on the same page, and then schedule all of this content to social media directly.
Okay. So it's more than a social media scheduling tool. It's more of a collaboration tool, right? Like when you talk about social media management tools like Buffer, Hootsuite, do they have these levels of approval that you have? I think that's a differentiating factor that you have, right? That Planable has.
Absolutely, that's correct. Because we started from the premise that we wanted to help marketing teams to get and create better content. And we understood that to create better content, you actually have to work on this content. You have to ask for feedback, ask for approval, and make sure that everyone from any department in your company or any of your colleagues can simply just raise their opinions and give their voice to the content creation side. Because if anyone from a small company to a big one can get involved into the content creation part, you will see that many new things will happen. Because, for example, in a small team, if not only the social media manager will create content, but also, for example, the co-founder of the company or even the accountant can share some of his or her opinions. But also in a big company, imagine that not only the marketing department would do social media, but also legal would get involved and make sure that it's totally fine from the legal perspective. Or also human resources. Human resources, for example, can share some new announcements of what's happening in the company, or tell and speak more about the values of the company in a new way that not exactly fit the perspective of the marketing teams.
But Vlad, I have a question here. Won't that slow down the whole, content creation process, or when you stick to a content calendar, right? And when you have so many teams involved, don't you think that will slow it down when you have the legal team, the HR team, and different departments in the company involved?
Yeah, that's a great question, and this might happen if you don't have the right processes and the right workflow implemented in your company. And what I mean by that is, for example, you can have the type of an organization that needs to have everything approved before publishing any. If you have this, and if you are not using the right workflows and processes, it would mean that all of your content will be constantly get delayed because you don't get the approval on time and you don't get the right feedback on time. But if you have the right workflow and processes, and I mean by that, having small iterations and fast iteration, having agile marketing teams, making sure that everyone that needs to have the access can to the content can see the content, and also that you stick to the schedule that you want, you will see that the magic happen. And also you can simply enable, for example, in Planable, you can enable approval or disable it. And for example, if you disable it, the approval will be just an optional part of your workflow. And you can simply just make sure that you can simply just ask for feedback from any of your team members or any other departments, or if you want, and if this fits your organization, you can enable the approvals, which means that you will have to get the approval from the right stakeholder. But again, this is totally your choice. But we saw that with the right processes, and especially if the team has the workflow of approval activated, they have seen the things happening a lot faster because people want to get more involved, or if they don't have the time, we just say it's straightforward. But on the other side, people are more interested to get the content done and make sure that the content will be exactly the same way as they see it.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect that you bring up, which is the process and the workflow you have in place. So our main topic centers around that, which is how to audit your marketing team's productivity and upgrade their results. So Vlad, recently you published your first book, which is the Marketing Teams of the Future. I read it and it was really illuminating. You talk about marketing teams of the past, the present, and the future, and collaboration plays a key role in effective marketing. And it's a very interesting book which I would recommend to all marketers out there. I'll post a link in the description of this podcast episode. You can download it for free. But Vlad, tell us a bit about how you can audit your current marketing team and how you can make your team more productive.
Yeah, so you can audit your team in many ways, I believe. And there are a couple of things that you need to get started with. So in the marketing teams of the future, I was presenting a lot of solution and a lot of causes of why this happens, but also the solutions on how to enable this. So first of all, let's just touch briefly why you would need to actually do an audit and why you would need to understand if you have a broken collaboration. And most probably you do. Yeah, so I believe that there are 4 causes or 4 whys of this happen. First is that marketing right now is moving at a rocket pace, like super fast. And you've seen that even in the book, when I was analyzing the past of the marketing, the things were happening super slow, especially in the 18th or 19th century. But now only in the past 20 years, we grew up from several websites and blogs to social media, affiliate marketing, programmatic, and many more. And this is why marketers struggles to understand the constantly changing landscape and feel very confused and overworked. And that's why the key to modern marketing success is becoming more agile and adapt in real time to what's happening in the space. And also, so the way you can audit your marketing efforts, it would be through the 3 parts. First of all, you would need to understand more about what's the workflow right now in your team and how do the thing looks like on your end. And second is you would need to make a meeting, first of all, and also make an analysis of how your people are part of your team. And what I mean by that is that in any modern and agile marketing team needs to have the right team and especially the right responsibilities from any team member. Because if anyone is or have clearly understood what do they have to do in the team, the things will move a lot faster. And the third part is that you would need the right tools established in your team. And I also have a list of tools that I believe are exactly the future for any marketing team, especially if they want to become a more agile one. And most of these tools are also part of a collaborative process in any team. For example, you can use Planable for content collaboration on the content, but you can also use, for example, especially if we are addressing the podcast for solopreneurs and small business owners.
Correct,
It's super important to also use, for example, communication tools. And in terms of a communication tools, for example, you can use Skype or Appear or anything else. But I saw that Zoom is making a really, really great success in this part because they are created especially for solopreneurs and small business owners. They are enabling teams and people to work from home and do anything they want at any point in anywhere. And also, for example, there are other tools like InVision app, for example, that helps you collaborate on the design stuff, or Front app that's helping you to collaborate on the emails that you're exchanging with your clients. Also, Polymail on helping you to collaborate on the sales pitches that you're sending on emails, and many more tools that especially are helping collaborative teams or are helping your collaborative side of the company. And I would highly suggest you and any of your listeners to look more into collaborative tools.
Got it. So I think we can compile a list of collaboration tools, and I can mention all of them in the description of this podcast. And many of them are mentioned in your book. You have a lot of contributors in your book. InVision app is one of them. You have Nightwatch, G2 Crowd, and almost all of them talk about how they have implemented collaboration in their marketing. The G2 Crowd example was pretty good. So all the listeners out there can download Marketing Teams of the Future for free. We'll post a link in the description for that. But I wanted to talk more about broken collaboration, because you say that this is the chief cause of why marketing teams fail. And in your book, you give a lot of examples about broken collaboration in marketing. For instance, the Dow campaign, the controversial Dow campaign, which was considered racist by many people, and also the Benetton campaign, and the Kendall Jenner, the infamous Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad. So in each of these cases, there were multiple layers of approval that the ad needed to go through, right? And we are talking about big companies here. Why do you think the approval process was flawed, and what can it do to make sure such mistakes don't happen again?
Yeah, exactly. Because in the book I was speaking a lot about this PR crisis, and it's super sad when all of them happen, because they happen under so many layers of approvals, and we are speaking not only people that work directly on the ad, but also tons of other people that were involved from the other side, like, for example, the costumes or the sound engineering or images or promotion.
Exactly.
And actually getting this published on social media, which is completely outrageous. And this is why I believe it has happened, because many people have not understood the power of collaboration, and that some things have to just have a hard stop at some point of the life of the marketing campaigns. And maybe also because this approval, and especially because all of these approval processes are not created for teams such as this, and they don't have the right processes enabled in their teams, because they might have this approval structure, but it most probably is not even working in their company, because they don't have the right people, and they don't have the right tools, and they don't have the right workflows enabled in their team.
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of interesting examples in your book, and you explain that pretty well. And you also explain the importance of collaboration, regardless of the size of the company. So, like you said, lots of listeners of this podcast are solopreneurs and small business owners, which means that many of them work with remote teams. So, what kind of collaboration tools would you recommend for them, or any specific advice you have for them to improve their collaboration?
Definitely, yeah. So first of all, I believe that it's even a more important issue, especially for remote teams or for the solopreneurs and small business owners, because most probably they are working decentralized, And content approval happens not only across multiple departments or between multiple people, like in such a small team, but it most probably also happen across several time zones, which creates a bigger issue. And by time zones, I mean that most probably we are working with freelancers or other people from several other countries. And that's why I think that remote teams need to adapt even faster the solutions that I would propose for them. And I think that it's not even about the tools, but it's about the things that we need to implement directly in the team. It's about setting the mindset. It's about creating a better marketing team from this structure and processes perspective. And what I mean by that is, for example, I believe that there are three things that we need to implement. The first one is that we need to prioritize their efforts much better, because no matter the size of your team, it's hard to balance the drive to do everything with the small resources you have, especially as a solopreneur or small business owner. And I believe that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts. And if the team will focus on nailing the basics, such as establishing the clear goals, create better roadmaps, and enable the right processes, they will significantly improve the chances for success. And then the second one is to not be afraid to invest in technology that can help you automate and track tedious tasks and processes. And there are many tools. For example, in our company, we are using Flow. This is similar to Asana, but but you can definitely use Asana as well, especially that it's free, because what I love about these tools is that we are helping you to see and create the goals and tasks not only for you, but you can also see what are your teammates doing across other organizations.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
And for example, you can invite all of your team member, and you can easily see what are we doing today, where how was their time organized across the next week or across the next month. So you can simply understand if you want to give them more tasks, or if you want to get them involved in more projects or not.
Can you just mention the tool again?
So I would say the first one that we are using, it's called Flow. Flow Task Management, or the website is getflow.com.
Oh, okay. We use at my agency we use Asana, and like you said, it's free. But the thing is, it's more of a freemium product, and many of their features are paid features these days. So you have to upgrade. So I think Trello is the industry leader when it comes to task management and collaboration. But Flow is something that we would definitely want to check out. So these are the two factors that you mentioned, right? The first one is on
prioritizing the efforts, and the second one on being not afraid to invest in technology, but not only technology, but also on finding people that can automate your tasks. Because I believe that it's super important to not only invest in tools, but also invest in freelancers or other people that can help you with small and tedious tasks. And by outsourcing some of the things that you can do instead of focusing on these small tasks.
Sorry to interrupt you here, Vlad. Can you recommend a few websites where solopreneurs or small business owners can hire freelance talent? Because we have experimented with Upwork and a lot of other sites. What has been your experience with these websites?
So we had the experience with only two platforms at this moment. We used Upwork, and we also used Fiverr. And the third option is that we used the recommendations from some of the friends. To be completely honest, the third option to use friends did not work for us. Because, for example, someone that we worked with, they did not complete the tasks as we would have expected, and I'm still not sure. It maybe happened because things were not communicated on our side, or maybe if just the expectations were not set accordingly. But for example, for Fiverr, we used it a couple of times, especially for voiceovers on some of the videos that we are creating.
Oh yeah, the voiceover artists are pretty good on Fiverr.
Exactly. Yeah. We had pretty decent experience with voiceovers,
Mm-hmm.
especially that we use actors or people with an American accent. And
Mm-hmm.
our experience have been really good so far. And especially the price was also pretty decent. We used a
Right.
voiceover for $40 or $60,
All
which
right.
is totally fine, especially for the projects, because we were
Correct.
working on big projects and it was not
Mm-hmm.
such a big investment for us. But
Mm-hmm.
but with Upwork, we had also a good experience.
Okay.
Especially the best thing for us about Upwork is that we explained from the very beginning that we needed some things to be implemented super fast. And
Mm-hmm.
this is exactly how the people on Upwork reacted to us, because lots of people applied to the job very fast. And then on the other side, they also implemented. For example, we just someone that we hired on Upwork 2 weeks ago implemented the task in 17 or 16 hours, which
Mm-hmm.
was mostly about creating some lists and creating some outreach campaigns on emails and also on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
and so on. It was a tedious thing, but we just prioritized this just because we explained and clarified this from very beginning. We need to do this fast, and this is exactly why we are hiring here.
Okay, okay. So my experience with Upwork hasn't been that great, but you spoke about outreach campaigns just now, and that is something that I've not outsourced at my agency or for my blog. And that's if you had a great experience with Upwork, then I would definitely want to check that out. And I think it's you got success from Upwork because you defined the process, the timeline, and many of us, many entrepreneurs post a job on Upwork, but they don't follow up and they don't clearly communicate the process or the timeline that's involved. And that's one of the reasons, I guess, why some of them are disappointed with the platform. But great to hear that you had a great experience with Upwork.
Yeah,
And
because we wanted it was super important for us to first of all communicate all the expectations and all the tasks clearly from the very beginning, and explain
right.
exactly why we need, give examples, and make sure that everything is understood from the very beginning. And then after we hired the freelancers, with the freelancer, we also jumped on a call to make sure that we are on the same page and make sure that everything is clear before the task has been implemented, so that we do not waste each other's time.
Is that allowed on Upwork? Because you can chat with the person that you're hiring, but I thought having a Skype call or a phone call with the person was not allowed.
Honestly, I'm not sure about that, because we exchanged the numbers on WhatsApp in order to communicate faster and more clear.
Right. Because they have the commission, right? Upwork has their own commission, and they don't want people to interact directly because then the middleman is taken out.
Yeah,
So,
no, no, in our case, we keep all the payments on Upwork, we keep all the contracts on Upwork and so on.
uh,
We just switched to, for example, WhatsApp in our case, just to communicate things a lot faster. And instead of going to
okay.
Upwork or waiting for a notification on Upwork or anything else, they could just
Mhm.
message us on WhatsApp, and we could instantly react to any message or any questions that we
Okay.
were given.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So, getting back to the main topic, which is you're talking about the three pillars that could improve a marketing team's productivity.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because my third point was mentioning exactly about the freelancers and other vendors.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I just wanted to mention that sometimes technology is not the only option. You don't have to invest only in the tools, but small teams need also partners or vendors or freelancers or
Mm-hmm.
any other
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders to be part of the collaboration process. Because
Correct.
again, even if you have more people involved, it's exactly as you've mentioned in the beginning. You
Mm-hmm.
might have and create a complete chaos, and it creates a higher risk. And this is why it's super important to have everything and everyone in one common space, and invite
Mm-hmm.
everyone to contribute with ideas and feedback, and make sure that make sure that the communication is transparent, which will benefit the relationship between teammates and between these internal and external stakeholders.
Vlad, you come from a social media agency background. How much did that experience shape your views on content collaboration?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that working in an agency has helped me understand more about the sides on both agency and the brand, because when you work in an agency, you can see things happening across multiple clients and across multiple teams. You have, from your side, you have lots of people and especially teammates that are working as designers, social media managers, strategists, ads campaign managers, and so on. But when on the brand side, especially for example at Planable we have only 3 marketing managers, including myself, and we are working on so many things at the same time that sometimes it's getting overwhelmed. Because in an agency, most of the time you have some people with some direct responsibilities. We have some specific jobs. But us being a startup, we just have to juggle around so many things daily. And for example, today I can do an outreach campaign, and tomorrow I will have to just message some people directly on Facebook for some specific things, or just ask for feedback. And then in a couple of hours, I will jump on a podcast with you. Or even today, for example, even today we shot 3 new episodes for People of Marketing. This is a video blog that we are currently producing, and you can watch this on YouTube. And we are doing so many things every single day that you would never get bored of working in a startup or juggling around so many things.
So, being from an agency background gave you these ideas about content collaboration and the different hurdles that both agencies and companies were facing. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, because all of us all of the founders at Planable worked in digital agencies before, and we personally have seen this frustration and this problem that people are experiencing in their companies. Because before starting Planable, we saw that when sending a Microsoft Excel or a spreadsheet document to our clients, we were waiting sometimes for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours to get the approval and feedback from them. But sometimes
you were lucky to wait for a couple of hours. In India, you had to wait for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, just to hear back from your clients.
Yeah, and sometimes we were waiting a couple of hours, but usually we were waiting a couple of days and sometimes even weeks. And we started thinking of why this happens. And especially the problem was that we were receiving the feedback not only on email, as we would do some clients, but also this was happening on WhatsApp, Messenger, Skype, phone calls, even messages, and so on. So we had multiple clients with multiple communication and collaboration and tools that we were using for them. So we started thinking that we want to fix this problem by having a platform that we can keep all of our clients in one single place. And also we started from the premise that we wanted our clients to see how the content would look like before publishing any. Because we tried to fix this problem through many ways. For example, before Planable, we tried to create a PowerPoint just to show how the content would look like. We also tried Facebook groups. We tried Facebook fake pages. We tried mocking up the posts in Photoshop. And none of this really worked for us because it was super complicated to manage all of this, and we were wasting even more time than before. And we tried and looked into so many other solutions like Buffer, Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Mav Social, and many more. But none of them really worked for us because we wanted a platform that would fix specifically our own issues. So we just started building one, and then we quickly understood that there are many other companies and agencies that share the same frustration and share the same problem that we are having.
Correct. I'll share my own experience with Planable because I also use Hootsuite, Buffer, but when it comes to a boutique agency like ours, we don't have we don't have the budget to invest in a plan that can allow you to add multiple users to your social media tool. For instance, with Buffer, it's just $15 per user, and I can just share my credentials with someone in my team, and then he or she will have to do the scheduling, and then I'll have to log in separately and check all the content. But with Planable, what I was able to do is we were, of course, managing the social media profiles of our clients differently, but I also wanted my agency to have a robust social media content plan. We wanted to post regularly. So So we started using Planable, and I have a team member living in the remote area of India where you have limited access to mobile phones, but the internet is quite decent. So so both of us started using Planable, and he would plan content for me, say on Saturday. And all I had to do was, check what he was posting using the Planable content calendar. And all I had to do was approve it. And once it was approved, it would directly get posted on social channels. So I would say Planable is pretty effective. It's more of a collaboration tool, like you said, than a scheduling tool or a planning tool. Of course, you can do all of these things, but the collaboration factor is what differentiates Planable from other run-of-the-mill tools on the market.
Yeah, and not only this, there are also a couple of things that we are implementing in the next couple of weeks and months. For example, just today we launched desktop notifications, so you will be always able to make sure that you know what's happening across all of your workspaces.
Oh, okay.
And also, especially that you are using this with clients, you can also create internal and external posts. This would mean that you can also, if you invite the client, you can also have conversation with the client directly, or have conversation privately only in your team. So your client will not be able to see any of this conversation.
So yeah, I've not used it with any of my clients because they have their own social media tools. So we get access to those tools. And I've been using Planable for my agency and to some extent for 99 Signals, and I have a wellness blog. So I'm managing three different profiles on Planable, but yes, I would like to move all my clients to Planable. The problem I face there is they'll have their own social media platforms, and some of them use HubSpot, some of them use Buffer, some of them use Hootsuite. So accordingly, we would have to use their tools to schedule content. But Planable is something that would definitely make the collaboration aspect a bit easier, and I would surely want to recommend this tool to them.
Definitely. I would suggest you in this case, just send them, for example, a short video that we have. I can send this to you after the call, or just send them a couple of screenshots of how your workspace looks like, or try to create create a workspace and connect their pages in Planable, so that you can just show them how the workspace would look like for them in Planable. And I can tell you from our experience, 99% of the people are instantly impressed just by the way Planable looks like. Because many of our customers and users are mentioning that this is definitely one of the most easy platforms to use coming from any background.
Right. Yeah, I like the user interface as well. So a Hootsuite, in my opinion, is a bit cumbersome, cluttered, but the user friendliness of Planable is pretty good. So that's great. So the screenshots and the video will be really useful. So I can probably share that with my clients and also with the listeners of this podcast. They will, if they've never heard of Planable before, they can watch this video and have a look at the screenshots to get an idea of how you can schedule and collaborate your content. So Vlad, one last question I had was, how does the marketing team at Planable itself streamline and simplify the approval process? Because you have to walk the talk as well, right? So when you have developed a collaboration tool, I would like to understand a bit about how your own team streamlines and simplifies the whole approval process.
Definitely, that's a great question, and would definitely love to share our experience. So let me think. Where should I begin? So I would say that first of all, there are a couple of things that we are doing on a regular basis. First of all, we have a marketing meeting each Monday in the morning. This is a weekly marketing meeting that we are doing to make sure that all of us are on the same page and we know who is working on which projects and what's the progress on all of this project. And then the second thing that we regularly do, this is a quarter update or a quarter meeting for Planable, because we are also a distributed team and we are meeting in one of the cities of the team, and then we are making a company retreat for a week where we are discussing all of the company updates and company future and everything what's happening. And we are also doing this specifically for our marketing team. We are just taking a full day to make a marketing meeting for us. And during the marketing meeting, we are outlining what happened over the past 3 months, what was good, what was bad, if any of us have any questions, and then we move on the plans, on a brainstorm for the next 3 weeks, and then we establish a clear plan with a clear set of goals and objectives for the next 3 months.
Okay.
And also there are a couple of other things that we are doing. The first one is that we are using Airtable. Airtable, this is also a collaborative platform, especially for teams. This is imagine like spreadsheet on steroids. The Airtable is super useful because it has tons of filters and groups, and the way you can view the data that you're managing. And in Airtable we have a couple of like spreadsheets that we created for our team to make sure that everyone can have the same access to the same content. For example, the first part that was also super important for us to define, and which we did at the past company retreat, was to define the ownership on the projects that we are working. And for example, we defined who is doing what, and we have all of this written. For example, my colleague, she's managing the blog, newsletters, social media, and a Facebook group that we will create soon. And I am doing the blog distribution. I am doing A/B testing on the website. I'm managing people of marketing. I'm also doing SEO. I'm doing link building, and I'm writing guest blogs from us to other blogs.
Oh, okay.
So we just created a sheet with ownership, everyone, and what are we doing. And we created this roadmap for the next 3 weeks.
And you did this using Airtable, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Nice, interesting. I have used Airtable, but it's been a while since I logged in, so I need to check it out and see how I can use it.
The beauty of Airtable is that it's totally flexible. You can create the Airtable in any way you want to make it easy.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a couple of other things that we also did. So for example, we created separate spreadsheets for marketing lists. No matter the list. For example, a list of marketing events that we want to speak at or participate at, list of awards, list of influencers that we want to work with, list of people that we want to interview for people of marketing, list of things that we can promote our blog, list of websites that we can guest blog on, and so on. Then there is another spreadsheet that we created for special initiatives. And by special initiatives, I mean, for example, we have a couple of special initiatives that we are launching every month and every quarter. For example, the industry report. Just yesterday, we launched an industry report on marketing collaboration. My colleague worked 6 months on this project in order to launch this. And this is something we also define at Planable as super important, that instead of constantly creating more and more content, we just focused on one quality content that we will be pushing over the next 3 to 12 months each day.
Okay.
And this is the report, or this is for example another report that we also launched on Instagram in March. Okay. We are also launching a content academy next month, and we are also trying to do couple of big things instead of working on small things that we do not really think prove a lot of value.
All right. So a lot of content marketing assets that you're working on currently, and not a lot, but I think it's a very focused approach. You have a couple of assets created, which you'll be focusing on for the next 6 to 9 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. We are trying, instead of creating small pieces of content, I mean, we also do newsletters, social media, blog posts, and so on. But we also try to make a big focus on some special initiatives.
Right. Got it. So one last question I had, Vlad. I know I said the same thing for the previous question, but this I promise is the last question. What advice would you give to aspiring marketers and entrepreneurs who have tuned into this podcast? And more importantly, what advice should they ignore?
So you've mentioned one that they should follow and the one that they should ignore, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so the one I think that I would start with the one that we would ignore is something that I hear a lot of people saying is publish lots of content. And I think that you should definitely ignore it because I think it's better to spend more time on strategy and produce more quality content rather than quantity. Because
Quality over
even
content.
yeah, because take us on take us as an example. Exactly the thing that I've mentioned earlier. We are creating one thing that we are working over the past 6 months, and then we are publishing this thing, and we are pushing and promoting this thing over the next 3, 6, and 12 months daily. And this is the same resource that we created. We just repurpose it in many ways. For example, we will create a blog, we will create a podcast, we will create a video, about it. We will share this on social media. We will share this on newsletters. We will share this when speaking at different events and so on.
Right. So repurposing content. You have one content pillar which you turn into different small bites of content, like the Gary Vee content model that you mentioned in your book.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So the content pillar is what he calls it, right? You have one main content, and under that you have 30 snippets of content. It can be a Snapchat post, or it can be an Instagram post, it can be a podcast, it can be a video. So right, that's a really good approach, and I'm glad you're following that at Planable.
And this is something that we also implemented in the video blog. For example, we just launched the video blog and we are releasing the main video, and then we cut the main video in 8 small pieces, and we are also launching them as mini videos.
Nice, very interesting. And what advice would you give? So this is the advice you should ignore, right? So you don't need to focus too much on publishing a lot of content. You should focus on quality rather than quantity. And what advice would you have for aspiring entrepreneurs who are listening to this podcast? Because you started pretty young. You started at 19, right? And when you founded Planable, you were probably still in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was still in college when I started Planable.
So what gave you that push? And many of us, I mean, when I was 19, I was worried about getting a job, whereas you started creating jobs for others. So what I'm trying to ask here is, what enabled you to, take this new venture, and what advice would you have for people of your age who are listening to this podcast?
In my case, the most important thing was that I was constantly curious. I was constantly curious about many, many things. I was asking constantly questions about how things would happen or how things would work. And in my case, for example, I started Planable out of a curiosity. I saw a chance that I wanted to just benefit, and I wanted to just give it a try to that chance that I saw, an opportunity that just was created for me. And then each month, things were going into such a different direction that I would expect. I was just saying to myself, okay, let me just give it one more week, just give it one more month, just give it 3 more months. And then here I am. I was just giving myself time in order to understand what's going to happen with it. And turns out that Planable was one of the best things that I did. And in my case, it was crucial that I was that I was constantly curious about new things. I was asking questions. I wanted always to learn. I was trying to get inspired from so many people and ask for advice, feedback, and so on.
Okay. So thank you so much, Vlad, for taking time, and you shared a lot of interesting insights, and I'm sure listeners may have taken notes and a lot of interesting points that you raised in terms of effective marketing collaboration. And I wish you all the best in the future. I'm really excited about Planable. I would want to use it more at my agency, and and I'll also recommend the tool to a few of my clients. And I wish you all the best in your future. I'll be looking forward to all the accomplishments that are coming your way.
Definitely. Thanks a lot for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vlad. And have a great day. So you're based out of London?
Yeah, I was based in London in 2017 for 9 months, but then I moved back to Eastern Europe. So I'm currently in Bucharest.
Oh, okay. Your Twitter profile still says London, so I thought you were based out of London.
Okay, I'm gonna change it right now.
Okay, no problem. Thanks once again, Vlad, and I hope we can do this in the future as well, and you can probably share your thoughts on other marketing topics as well. So, Vlad's book, Marketing Teams of the Future, is available for download. I'll post a link in the description. Do check it out. A lot of interesting examples and insights that Vlad shares. And do visit planable.com. If you are tired of using any other social media scheduling tool out there, Planable is like a fresh breath of air, and I'm sure you'll love the interface and the features that they have.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.